Hello everybody! So, in honour of my ACT course for clinicians, for non-psychologists going live today, I wanted to just post a really small video just to say, go to the website www.laurarathbone.com, look on the courses for clinicians, and you will see that there are 2 brand spanking new courses that you can sign up for. I'll be running this as a live and virtual course. That means that we're going to have live contact teaching over the 4 weeks. So we'll be doing 3 hours of collaborative discussion and workshopping ACT and getting a real good feel as to how it is to use this during our contact time. But there'll also be some coursework and some exercises and some journaling exercises for through the week that you'll be doing as a group, and supervising each other and mentoring and just generally like helping each other get through it. So do check it out. It's going to be a 4-week training module as opposed to a sort of 2-day static course. This is something that's going to live and breathe and grow with us as a group as we figure out what it is that you need for your clinical practice and how we can integrate ACT into that and make this really user-friendly. So one of the things that I have been thinking a lot about is how do we get some of the stuff out there, some of the ACT stuff out there. And one of the, I had a really lovely session recently with a person who's experiencing, of course, persistent pain, and whose goal is to get back to a kind of activity, a kind of sport. So we looked at something called choice points. Choice points is a pretty standard approach to a pretty standard skill helping somebody within acceptance and commitment therapy. It really falls down the side of the hexaflex that is involved in committed action and taking steps. But it also requires the skill of acceptance, so we need to be open and acknowledging and accepting of difficult experiences. But anyway, it sort of goes a bit like this. So what you want to do is you want to first of all establish what is the goal that you're working towards. So let's say we're working towards cycling. I don't know if you can see that very well, probably not. Okay, so let's say we're working towards cycling. We want to draw an arrow on your blackboard. Okay, and you want 2 little arrows on either side. Okay, on one side you're going to have an A for away, and on the other side you're going to have a big T for towards. Okay, so the idea of a choice point is we're going to think, okay, we're going to acknowledge that the constant is the pain or the difficult experiences. So when you're working in a persistent pain group, you're probably often working with the difficult experience of the difficult sensation of pain. But it's really important to remember that it doesn't come alone. It's almost always got friends. So you usually got other sort of difficult emotions as well that come with pain. Okay, because they're a package, they're not separate. So this is kind of the constant. So let's say we want to go cycling. We want to figure out what kind of steps, what kind of behaviours, and whether they are cognitive behaviours or whether they are actual actions, what kind of things are taking us towards and what kind of things are taking us away. So what we tend to find is things that take us away from this particular action are usually things like when we're struggling with the difficult emotions, when we're struggling with avoiding pain. So it's usually things like inflexible thinking, black and white thinking, when we're stuck with the pain or the difficult sensations and really struggling to open out to them. This is the theory. Things that take us towards are things like allowing the pain or the difficult sensation to be there, rolling with the discomfort that comes up, recommitting to the action, recommitting to the value, and sort of finding the importance in that action. That's why it's really important that it's valuable, because it needs to be valuable enough to take us towards. This isn't always how I use it though. Sometimes how I use it is I think, okay, if this is the pain and we want to go and do our activity, say we want to go and do cycling, we might be struggling with things that take us away from the cycling. So often people come into the clinic and they're already here. We're avoiding the activity. Sometimes they're really over here. They're avoiding the activity, they're experiencing the pain. So the pain is existing, is existing, and there is avoidance. So they're coming in, they've got pain and they've got avoidance. So they're not doing the activity that they want to do. They're not engaging in all the things that they get, like for example, relaxation, joy, power, all the values that come with cycling, because we're avoiding it. And that's the point when they usually come into clinic. What we're trying to encourage is the moving towards. So we're trying to take somebody from avoiding to avoiding less, and then coming more towards the activity. But we're going to take the pain with us. So this, from here, we're going to have to bring the pain with us as we move towards it. And what we're hoping to do is over time, but we don't know what time, is to keep moving towards our activity and create more and more distance from the pain, right? And what's interesting is over here, we also might have distance from the pain. So they might say, if I don't do it, I don't get the pain and I don't get the difficult experiences. And we say, okay, but you also don't get that. So if we're not working, if you're happy over here avoiding all of this difficult stuff and not having this, then that's fine. We don't have to move towards it. But if you're also identifying that this is your goal, you want to cycle because it gives you an opportunity to be in nature, it gives you a feeling of power, of excitement, of like all these things, then we're going to have to reverse the scale, aren't we? We're going to have to move in the other direction. We're going to have to avoid less and go into the discomfort. We're going to have to go towards the activity with the discomfort, and we're hoping that as we become more and more skilled, more and more open, and as we get more and more of this and more of this, the space between us and the pain, that diffusion, that space, that allowingness of the pain to get there becomes wider and wider and easier. And of course, if we're all the way over here, maybe in the future there's a point where the pain is so distanced from us that it almost doesn't affect us. And that would be a really great outcome. But it's something that we can't necessarily promise, but I think we can offer potential hope here, because that's what we're seeing, is that the struggle with pain and that the suffering of pain can reduce as we get skilled at these mindfulness, diffusion, acceptance and awareness strategies. And the progressive exposure is how we do that as well. Yeah. And that's how we make life richer. So I don't know if this is useful, but this is how I would use it with some clients, and this is what I think can be it's a very nice way of bringing up the content of moving into discomfort and recognizing that there is always a choice, and that choice is completely up to the client and the person in pain, not us. So the choice to move away, that's absolutely fine. There is no judgment on that. The choice to not engage in your goal, if that is your choice, that's absolutely fine. But if the choice to not engage in your goal is just bringing us more and more of this, then we have to make that decision. Is that a helpful choice or is it unhelpful? And if it's unhelpful, then why are we doing it? Because if we are now a person with pain and loads more emotional distress because we're moving away from the valued activity, then what would it look like and what would it feel like if we started to take small but graded steps back towards the activity that we care about so much, potentially having to take some of that pain and discomfort with us? And that's where the skill around supporting and facilitating self-compassion, self-awareness, and empowering that choice point, empowering the voice within the person. I am allowed to make a choice about this moment, and this moment, and this moment, and this moment. Yeah, so hope that's been helpful. Like I said, learning ACT is a huge process. It takes a really long time to get really good at it. But I think if you have a really good foundation and a really good first experience with training and getting to grips with the model, you just can grow from there. So hopefully that's what happens when you come on the course, and I would really love to see you there. So like I said, go to the website laurarathbone.com, check out courses for clinicians, and hopefully see you there. And if you have any questions, always let me know. Bye.